Ever wondered how plants make sure they grow towards the light? No, you probably haven't. But since both light and water are essential for photosynthesis, there is little doubt that the plant has mechanisms in place to ensure its growth maximizes its uptake of these two key stimuli. Plants have developed responses called tropisms. Tropism is a growth in response to a stimulus, so light and water in the case of the plant. There are different types of tropisms. Positive tropisms are when growth is towards the stimulus, so the plant growing towards the light to maximize the stimulus for photosynthesis. Negative tropisms are when growth is away from the stimulus, so roots growing away from the light and deeper into the soil, so there is less chance of them being dried out. These are both phototropisms, growth in response to light. There are also geotropisms, which is growth in response to gravity. The stem undergoes negative geotropism, because it grows against gravity and upwards towards the light, whereas roots undergo positive geotropism, because they grow in the same direction as gravity, downwards. So unsurprisingly, plants grow in response to light and water, and grow towards or away from light, phototropism, and with or against gravity, geotropism. But something must control this growth. Just like humans, plants have growth hormones. We will look at these plant hormones in our video called Plant Hormones, Auxins and Gibberellins, and we will see how they are used in weed killers, fruit ripening and more. If a plant has enough water, minerals and energy, it will grow, right? Well, sort of. But there is more to it, like why do plants bend towards the light and not just grow straight? And why is it that the stem grows up but the roots grow down? It isn't as if the plant has eyes to tell it where the sun is. You should already know about tropisms, so phototropism and geotropism. But if you have forgotten, watch our video called Plant Hormones, Tropisms first. But how does it actually do this? Having been made in the tips of the stems and roots, auxin is moved in solution by diffusion to older parts of the plant. In the stem, the auxin causes the cells to change in elasticity. More elastic cells absorb more water and can grow longer. Strangely though, stems and roots respond differently to high concentrations of auxin. Whilst the stem cells grow more, the root cells actually grow less. So auxins make plants grow. But why do they bend towards the light? How do they know to do this when they don't have eyes? The bending happens because the light hits on one side more and breaks down the auxins on that side of the stem. So then growth slows down on the light side. The faster growth on the dark side causes the shoots and leaves to turn towards the light, which is ideal for the plant for photosynthesis. Auxin is produced in the tips of growing shoots. If the tips are cut off, then no auxin can be produced and so no plant growth. If the tips are covered whilst auxin is still produced, light cannot break it down and so phototropism cannot occur. The plant just grows straight up and does not bend towards the light. Pretty straightforward so far. Now let's switch it up a bit. Auxins have the opposite effect on root cells. In roots, auxins cause less growth. The shaded side of roots contain more auxin and so they grow less. This enables the light side of the roots to grow more and bend away from the light. And if that wasn't weird enough, we have the opposite happening with auxins to gravity too. In a horizontal root, the bottom side contains more auxin and grows less. So the root bends downwards in the direction of gravity. So positive geotropism. But of course, the stem responds differently. In a horizontal stem, again, the bottom side contains more auxins because it is less directly hit by sunlight. But because auxins cause growth in stems, the bottom side grows more, causing the stem to bend upwards, against the direction of gravity. So, negative geotropism. But I'm giving auxins too much credit. They don't work alone. They have a partner in crime. Cytokinins. You don't need to know anything about these hormones, other than the fact that they work alongside auxins. There is another plant hormone, however, that you do need to be aware of. Gibberellins. Once a seed germinates, the roots and shoots start to grow. But for this, the seed needs energy. Luckily, the seed releases a hormone called gibberellin, which causes the starch in the seed to turn into sugars and provides the seed with energy to grow. As well as causing shoot growth, gibberellins can also stimulate flowering and the production of fruit in some plants, and they also work with auxins to cause stem elongation. So now we know all about how plant hormones work, have a think about how they could be used. We will discover some uses in our video on how we use plant hormones. So by this point, you already know all about tropisms, auxins, and gibberellians, and are now ready to have a think about how our knowledge of plant hormones can actually be put to use. You may want to watch these two videos first. So how do you think growth hormones, or auxins, can be used as selective weed killers? Pause the video and have a think. If you thought of the following, then give yourself a pat on the back, because it's definitely not obvious. The selective weed killers contain growth hormones, which cause the weeds to grow really quickly. This means the weed is absorbing nutrients from the soil at a much higher rate, and so the weeds absorb the weed killer in much larger quantities than beneficial plants. This can be used for getting rid of weeds without killing the grass, or thistle in a field without killing the crop. But they aren't just good at killing plants. Gardeners use growth hormones to promote growth. They take cuttings of plants and dip the stalk into a rooting powder, which contains growth hormones. This makes stem cuttings quickly develop roots and establish as functioning plants. But the use of plant hormones doesn't stop there. They can also be used in controlling fruit ripening. Some slow it down and others speed it up. We can use this knowledge to inhibit hormones during transport so that the fruit does not ripen too quickly. Or we can promote ripening when it is in the shops so that it is in the perfect condition for consumers. Bite into a banana and you don't expect seeds, do you? Hormones sprayed onto flowers can stop seeds developing, leaving us with big, juicy, seedless fruits. In nature, plants only germinate when conditions are ideal for growth. This is called seed dormancy, and is controlled by hormones. How do you think we can make use of dormancy? Pause the video and have a think. We can use hormones and inhibitors to remove the dormancy of seeds, thus enabling us to germinate seeds at all times of the year. We can also use these hormones to make plants grow bushier and make them flower at controlled times. Exactly what you want if you are entering a flower show. Crunchy red apples, juicy ripe mangoes, sweet bananas. You can thank ethylene for ripe fruit. Ethylene breaks down components of the cell walls to make them softer and makes them sweeter by converting starches to sugars. Ever wonder why you are told to put unripe fruit next to ripe fruit? It isn't as if ripe fruit can chat up the unripe fruit and tell them to ripen up. So what is happening? Ethylene is different to other hormones because it is an airborne gas and works on a positive feedback loop. Start with a little ethylene, and this causes more ethylene to be released, which in turn causes even more ethylene to be released, and so on. Therefore promoting ripening in all local fruit. So from this video, you should know now that plant hormones have many uses, from weed killers to promoting growth in rooting powders, from controlling fruit ripeness to ensuring seedlessness and controlling dormancy.